progress.
Some audio checks. Our next piece will be the most wonderful time of the year. Thank you very much. Our final song for you tonight will be Winter Wonderland.
It's a
arrive late, it's the Plainville High School Chamber Choir, and our concert's next Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, and we hope you're able to make it. And if not, have a wonderful holiday season.
Friday at the convention center.
Friday at the Connecticut Convention Center. Yeah, we're part of the, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a wonderful holiday light display that's going on, the only showcase in America of it. And we're one of the performing groups for Friday night at 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock there.
That was outstanding. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. All right, you guys take the folders, head down to the auditorium. See you in a couple minutes.
Yeah, so just now for the first time. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen you come up twice. You're on Broadcaster and Kevin, so when you both
Yes,
click
the
on, you
Connecticut
can hear all the interference. Do you guys have a quorum? Do you guys have, how many board members are there?
Do we have a quorum?
I can come down there if needed.
We do? Because
Here, physically, you mean?
yes,
Yes, it'd be nice.
because the Zoom, I had everything working, and I couldn't do the stream, and then everything just broke on me. And I've been doing this for like an hour and a half. So,
We physically have 6 people here, so we have a quorum.
I can't get audio to them right now. I'd have to play with it for a good 10 minutes each.
So they missed the concert?
I didn't hear anything. It all broke right. Everything was working, and then I went to put the YouTube stream to get it ready, and that wouldn't work. And I had to reboot to get that to work, and then it broke everything else. To get all the audio working. So, it's, like I said, it's very difficult to set these up in a Zoom and combo meeting. If it's all Zoom, it's easy. If it's all in person, it's all easy. It's trying to get them to be able to hear you, and you to hear them, and then be on there, and to send it out to YouTube all at the same time. So, I can let them know. I mean, like I said, I can set the laptop up in here and have them just watch. Or down on the table. I can't get into the stream right now.
Will they be able to hear everything?
Possibly, I can set it down there.
Robert, just on that chair, Kevin.
I mean, I can put it down there by you guys, on the
Yeah.
table. I can actually send the video.
Is it still recording now?
Just, if you can give me 2 minutes, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's Kevin. So, I guess there and does everything.
You guys hear me?
I can. Debbie's muted.
I was gonna put you guys down on the counter and you guys can listen and I will send the slides to the screen under the other feed you're watching.
If needed, I could come down there.
They have a quorum. So it's up to you if you want or not. Just stay in the meeting. So I can set you up like that and you guys can see them?
She can vote from there. She can vote from there.
Yeah, can you guys hear?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. If I cheer you on.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I don't know where it is, Dan. excited. We're ready.
Good evening. I'd like to now convene the regular business meeting of the Plainville Board of Education for Monday, December 12th, 2022. Cassandra, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd also like to call a moment of silence for the Newtown tragedy, which was the 10th anniversary on December 14th. If we could just take a moment of silence. Thank you. We're going to move forward to special presentations. For the PCF Staff All-Star Awards, Matt Garino, Wheeler Tutor, Ashley Carl, Director of Food Services, and Sharon Lavore, Assistant Director of Food Services.
Thank you, Mrs. Consalvo. So I'd like to, I'll do it from here because they were unable to be here tonight. There was a bit of a mix-up with one, and we have two who are ill, so unfortunately, they're not able to be here, but hopefully they'll get to see this recording, and hopefully we can have them back at a future meeting, maybe in January, to hear great things about them in person. But I'd like to share, Mr. Ross, are you able to display the picture I sent you of, I'm going to do Mr. Guarino's first.
Yep, one moment.
So I'll start talking about Mr. Guarino. Mr. Guarino, as you know, is a long time, started as a teacher here. He was at Wheeler, and then he became over time became the principal, a longtime principal of the middle school of Plainville. He retired, boy, it's a year and a half ago now, and he didn't want to leave education after, I think he was in about 38 years, but he has much to offer. So he's a full-time instructional tutor over at Wheeler School, where he began. So he's loving every day of it, helping kids, and they love Mr. Guarino. We had a situation with a large oak tree that, was intended to be saved when the renovation happened. It's probably almost, 2.5, 3 feet, probably 3 feet in diameter. Beautiful large oak tree, but after an inspection, there were branches that were falling, and it became dangerous. There were parts of the tree that toward the top that were dead and needed to be taken down. So Mr. Guarino, Mr. Batchelder and I should say, thought it would be nice to do something with the tree that would be meaningful. What you're seeing there is the product of about 80 hours of volunteer work by Mr. Guarino, who's an artist also, on top of, I call him the most interesting man in the world. That is carved with a chainsaw, and then other hand tools and chisels, and you name it. And Mr. Guarino went there on Saturdays for a number, I think nine Saturdays. I was talking to him earlier. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He's not feeling well. But it's been stained. That's a stain with a varnish in it. That's what the coloration is. But that is all part of that 10-foot, actually it was 12 feet, and he had to take 2 feet off the top because it was too tall. So that was an interesting challenge. But from that, he carved that log. It's all attached as part of that log, that tree that took on a new life. Unfortunately, we had to cut down the tree. But that's what is now the Wheeler Wolf. Howell's proud over at Wheeler School. So Mr. Guarino is, I know he'll get to see this, but we're very grateful for all that he's given to Plainville, to our schools. I talked a lot about him at graduation, at his graduation, his retirement, and he does a great job every day, and he's just a vital part of the community. So I want to thank him on behalf of of all of us for this beautiful gift. He also took about 2 feet of that tree and made it into a two-sided chair for little kids so they can sit. So I don't have a picture of that handy, but I'll show that to you as well another time. So lots and lots of work, and he said he loved doing it. It's his passion. So if you ever need to commission Mr. Guarino for any paintings or carvings or sculptures, he's quite a talented guy. So, Mr. Guarino, I'm sorry I can't shake your hand and take a picture with you, but we'll do that in the future, and I have his All-Star Award here.
Where are the properties?
That is behind Wheeler School, to the right side of the school. So toward that corner, yeah, toward the fields, like on a little angle there. So pretty incredible. He said if I'm willing to take down a tree at Tafalon and Linden, he can make a tiger and a dolphin. But we're going to keep our trees until such time that we have to take them down, then we'll have to talk to Mr. Guarino. The next person I'd like to honor is, well, 2 people who are really outstanding in our food services leadership. Ashley Carl was hired the same year that I became superintendent, and she has really transformed our entire food service, our food services department in Plainville. She's been innovative, she's been creative. She and Sharon, who's the other honoree tonight, Sharon's the assistant manager, have really led our food service department to a place where it's been greatly increased meal participation, getting feedback from students, really doing creative things. Even when we were concerned about students not getting their meals during COVID, the delivery, the pickup, the whole system that she developed for the grab-and-go meals, even the bistro bags, the little things, the bistro bag with a sticker on it, just to make it a little more appealing, than the brown paper bag. It was a white paper bag with a little sticker. And, through all of that, incredible effort and all the other things she does, the catering that they do for the district. I'll finish that part and then I'll share one more thing. But so last June, I was fortunate enough to partner on a veterans breakfast that we hosted at the VFW, partnered with Rotary and Scoops for Troops and the Ahern family and Frank Robinson. And Sharon and Ashley were both instrumental in helping me to put together all the food. Rotary was able to purchase it, through our food services, so that we got really, really great quality food, put on a tremendous breakfast. And, Mr. Ahern and I did the cooking in the back of the kitchen there, and, we did it as a group. This year, Ashley did all the same ordering and helped deliver everything with me, and she also stayed for the entire event and volunteered her time. So, some of it was pre-cooked here because it was a school day this year on the week after Veterans Day. We had I think we ended up with about 70 veterans. It was a really beautiful breakfast. It couldn't have been better. We had kids from the middle school come and sing, and also made wonderful gifts and cards for the veterans. So it was really nice. But Ashley was there to help, and she loved it. She wants to do it again. She was tremendous. She left an impression on everybody, and they just thought she was wonderful. So I just want to thank both of them. And going back to what I started with, through their increased meal participation, through the federally subsidized meal program, our meal rates have gone through the roof, really. We went from a position of having serious concerns about losing tens and tens of thousands of dollars a month. It might be more than that. Sam's shaking his head. He probably has the numbers. But at one point, when COVID started, we were in a real bad position. To have that be a real detriment and concern for the budget and how we're going to cover this. She turned it all around, and it became an incredible asset. And through that, at the last board meeting, we announced that the federally subsidized the funds for the meals have run out at the beginning of December, because so many kids are getting nutritious, well-balanced meals on a daily basis, and we want to continue that. We're able to continue that program through the end of the school year using the savings, the profit, if you will. It's realized savings from the subsidized meals and the participation rate. So it's really a tribute to all the work that they've done to make meals more attractive. They're still continuing to do that, get more creative with menus, get student input, and just really doing a tremendous job. Sam works closely with our food service department. Sam, anything else you want to add to that I missed? I usually don't miss much because I just
True. No, that's great. I don't know if any of you have worked with Ashley, but I just want to point out her enthusiasm. She's the kind of person who can write an email with a bunch of exclamation points, like one after every sentence, and it just sounds like the way she talks. But it's not just enthusiasm for enthusiasm's sake. She's very passionate about our food service program, and preaches that hungry children aren't available for learning. And Sharon's the same way. It's a calling more than a job. And the results that Steve talked about are in part, that doesn't happen by itself. That's not automatic. That's because people really care. It's not just about putting food on a plate. It has to be, to quote Ashley, nutritious and delicious. Kids have to participate, and our participation rate has gone up by about 1/3. So as Steve said, we can continue our free meals to the end of the year, but then what happens after that? And so be ready for the program to come to us with something. I don't know what. They don't have an answer yet, but they really would love to continue that participation rate, continue to improve. So, stay tuned, board. And thank you for your support for the program. It's always important. I'm just glad that Ashley and Sharon are the ones leading our program.
Absolutely. And I know she's on the Wellness Committee with Mr. Lewandowski as well, and I want to thank Mr. Lewandowski for, inviting her to apply in Plainville. She was a former Meriden employee as well. So we apologize to Meriden for taking one of their grades. That's all for my special awards tonight, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes this evening. If there are no objections or corrections to the minutes, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve item A, which includes minutes of the November 14th regular business of the board, and item B, special meeting of the board, Finance and Facilities Subcommittee, which was on November 14th, 22. Are there any corrections or concerns?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of the full board meeting on November 14th, the regular business meeting, and also approve the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Education, the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee meeting on November 14th.
Do I have a second?
Yes, I second that.
All in favor, show of hands. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We'll move on to citizens' comments. If you'd like to address members of the Plainville Board of Education, you are welcome to do so. You will have 3 minutes to voice the matter at hand or your area of concern. Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Nobody's here. Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Does anybody wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Okay, we will move on to the council liaisons report. Ms. Puglisi.
Good evening, Catherine Puglisi, 50 West Broad Street. Before I begin, I would like to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season. I do not want to forget to do that at the end of my remarks, so I'll do it up front. In addition to that, I do want to compliment the choir that was here tonight. What a lovely way to start some of the holiday celebrations. Those beautiful, clear, pure voices are just amazing, and they did a wonderful job. So please pass on my thanks for such a great job they did. It was wonderful. Gets you in the mood more than we should probably be right now, but they were terrific anyway, so thank you. I have a few things that I'll share with you. Ongoing with the White Oak redevelopment project, I do talk about this all the time, and it has been a project that has been long in the making, and it's still going to be some time going forward. But we are getting some things done. We are getting approval. The council recently approved a contract amendment to tie and bond for further testing and delineation of soil and groundwater contamination. This specifically has to do with the rear of the building and the whole area behind the main building. We did have some testing and evaluations done before. However, tie and bond feels there are some further areas that they need to actually take under consideration, and so they're going ahead to do that. We do have a grant from the state of Connecticut to help pay for all of these things, so there will be no additional cost to the town. Ongoing, we continuously talk to the DEEP and DECD, Economic Development, and then the environmental folks. We're constantly in touch, trying to get all the paperwork in that we need to get in. One of the final outstanding issues that we did have to have done was to make sure that we had a property title search. As with any property that's purchased, a title search has to take place. That has been completed. Attorney Mastriani and Galsky and Mike Perry did the survey work on it. So we are expecting there will not be any significant rebuttals or contest as to what has been provided, and it should ensure the future smooth transfer of the property to the town. At this point, the town does not own that property. It is still in the hands of the owner, and all of these things have to take place before the town can take ownership and then at some point transfer it over to the group that's going to be doing the project work on it. So we're moving along, but again, it takes a while to get through all these things. And moving forward, we're also moving forward with our landfill closure project. This is a project that has been talked about. Honestly, we've talked about closing the landfill for the past 25 years. We are now actually actively going forward to get that done. We do have to get it done. It's not a point where we can say, well, we'll take another 5 or 10 years. We have to get this done. It's an expensive investment. However, the town is making preparations to get through it and to start delivering material that has to fill, that put a cap. We have to cap the landfill, but we have to take material in to bring it up to an appropriate height where it can finally be capped. The roadways department is going to have to move some equipment and material off-site to be stored probably on the airport vacant lot in order for us to get all these things in place. So again, another long-term project we're working on. It's taking time, but we have to get this done. We also talked about, at our meeting, purchasing treated and non-treated road salt. As you know, and we probably use some of this today, the town has to purchase salt on an annual basis for the roadways department as part of their winter weather operation. So we purchase non-treated salt, which is rock salt, and we purchase treated salt that is combined with an organic enhancer for de-icing. And it's most effective in colder conditions with temperatures at or below 25 degrees. So we approved purchases of those items as well. The town also reviewed some more winter policies. We have rules that go into place at certain times of the year, and the winter is not exempt from that. We approved a revised mailbox policy, which has to do with mailboxes that get damaged, during plowing and things of that nature. Who is responsible for removing snow and ice from the sidewalks? Prohibition from plowing, throwing, or putting snow or ice in a public roadway or street. So if you're cleaning up your driveway and sidewalk, please don't throw all that into the road because that's not allowed. Also, very, very important is a reminder to keep fire hydrants clear from snow. If you have a fire hydrant, not necessarily on your property, but adjacent to your property, it is requested, not required, but requested that the homeowner clears out the hydrant. This is a matter of public safety. The fire department, if they're called out to an emergent situation and those fire hydrants are not cleared, it could be a major issue. So if you have one near your house, please clear it out, make sure it's clear of snow and ice so that everybody can remain safe. And again, there's a prohibition on all-night parking from December 1st to April 1st. We've had some activity in our police department recently. On November 21st, we appointed Roman Blajerski to sergeant effective November 22nd, 2022. He has been an officer in the police department for some time. He took a test along with others. He came out on top, so he will now be the next sergeant. And we also appointed Matthew Moran to the position of police officer effective December 6, 2022. And as a condition of continued employment, he must successfully complete all aspects of the basic police officer training program at the Connecticut Police Academy and the police department training field. A few notes about Matthew. He grew up in Wallingford, received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the University of New Haven. He completed internships with the Connecticut State Police and U.S. Marshals Service. He worked at the Lake Compound Security Department in Bristol for a number of years, where he currently holds the rank of sergeant. And this is my favorite about him. He has a master's degree in elementary education from Southern Connecticut State University and was a third grade teacher in the New Haven School District. I wonder which is more dangerous, being on the police force or being a teacher. I asked him that, and he smiled and didn't respond. So anyway, we do have a new police officer. He'll be joining us. We're very excited about that. And this will bring us up to a full complement of our police officers. One last item, the town council named a charter revision commission at our last meeting. The members are Quinn Christopher, Dan Cizelski, John Gasparini, Patrick Kilby, Joe Rosinski, Dana Snell, and Anthony Tarasio. They will be contacted by our town clerk and given a schedule of meetings. We have a number of items the council would like the commission to consider. Most importantly, we would like them to look at a residency requirement currently in place for a town manager. We are going to ask them to eliminate that. As it is, this is what the top leadership person in our government, the police chief, neither the police chief nor the superintendent of schools has that requirement. As we found out going through a number of interviews to replace Robert Lee as town manager, that became a little bit of an issue with some folks. So we think, it's time to upgrade or update those rules in our charter. I'm very interested to hear if there'll be like they could reside within a certain circumference, not necessarily in Plainville, but within a certain distance from the center of town. So we're hoping this will be helpful going forward as people change positions and retire. It may make it a little bit easier for people to become our next town manager, whoever that may be. So that's it for me. I will be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Puglisi. Actually, I have two questions.
You have a question.
You said that, this is Rachel Buchanan. You said this was the Charter Commission?
Charter Revision Commission. Charter Revision Commission, yep. The charter is not, we look upon it as like a constitution, if you will. This is not something you go in and revise regularly. It should stand as our guidelines for how we govern our town and the rules that we need to have in place in order to make sure that things progress smoothly. So it's not often done. The last Charter Commission was 9 or 10 years ago. But as circumstances change, it's important for councils to be able to react to those changes, and we need to look forward to make sure that we can put some rules in place that are going to be beneficial to any future council or town manager if that's the case. So,
how is that committee chosen? What is that?
I'm sorry?
How is that committee formed?
How is it formed?
Yeah, how are folks selected for that committee? Just curious.
The members were selected. The membership, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. There are rules, again, about how many people can be on the commission, about whether they can be on other boards and commissions. The current council decided to have 7 members. No more than 2 can be on currently any other board or commission. So it makes it a little bit dicey, because several people that do volunteer to do this are already active on other boards and commissions. So we did have to kind of wade through some of those to make sure we got the right blend of people that are on boards and commissions and those that are not. So we were able to do that with the group that I announced tonight. And I'm sure they will they do a very good job. The council hopes to have the charter available to go to referendum in November, which is a little bit of an aggressive time frame, but I think we can get it done if they meet a couple of times during the month. and finish their work by June or July. There has to be a few public hearings. They have to report back to the council with their work, and then we're going to have to refer it for a referendum. It's not just the council that votes on this, the entire town. Whoever votes would have to vote to approve it or deny it. So they have a bit of work ahead of them, but I'm sure they'll get it done. These are our very, very quality people that we're putting on, and they'll take their job seriously. So hopefully that'll be the case.
I had one more quick question.
Oh, of course, Rachel.
I'm sorry. At the last few town council meetings that I've attended, I've noticed that there's an opportunity for the Board of Education to
Right.
provide a report, and I've noticed that that report hasn't been given. Is there a particular meeting? Is it the first or the second? And my question, I'm going to open this question up. Lori, Ms. Gonsalvo, is that something that I was asked after the last council meeting if we're going to be given Board of Education reports at the town council meetings? It sounds like it's something that folks are looking for. So I just wanted to, while we have this opportunity, ask if that's something that you plan on doing in the future. And if you're not there, if one of us is there, can we provide report? Thank you.
Sure. Anybody that wants to come visit us, we're always happy to see you. We have the Board of Ed is on the second meeting of the month, which is generally the third Monday. It's always on our agenda, and it has been, sparsely attended, and I understand people have a lot going on. If there's something that I have learned from the Board of Ed that I believe should be shared with the council, I will do that as the liaison. We talked about the teacher's contract the last time because I was part of that team. So we always like to have reports. If you can't be there in person, I have received reports in writing from the chair. I will be happy to continue to do that. But if you want to designate somebody else, if you're not available, whoever wants to come by, we're always happy to hear from the Board of Ed. Okay. Anything else? Okay, thanks very much.
We're going to go ahead and move forward to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'll keep my overall district remarks fairly brief. I just sent home the November newsletter last week as we started December, just to reflect on November. Hopefully they've been enjoyable to read. There's a lot of great pictures, a lot of really important information, and that goes out to almost 3,000 people across the district. We usually get about 1,000 or a little bit more who read it based on what, the SMORE newsletter analytics that they do. So, I would encourage anyone, if you're looking for information about a certain topic, or all of the school newsletters are all also posted there from each month, as well as district updates from Ms. Davis and others from our different departments across the district. So district level, school level, and then of course my own reflections that usually start the newsletter about a number of topics that are pertinent for the time. So hopefully, we have a system down now. I was sending out a lot more newsletters, probably sometimes one a week last year with all the COVID issues and everything else. So we've gotten it down to a monthly newsletter. So I would encourage people to read it. Some of the topics I'll just touch on. I'm really proud of our district. On last Friday, we had the PJ Day for the Connecticut Children's Hospital, and the last that we checked, Plainville was in, I believe, 6th place in the state, but we haven't added the cash that was brought in, as well as the online donations. This is to help the kids who are battling a number of different cancers, pediatric cancers. We have, as we know, children we've lost in Plainville, children who are fighting a brave battle currently in our schools. So it's something that our district really takes seriously and puts a lot of effort and passion into. So I want to thank Karen Bazinskis, who led the effort, and she's had her own battles, and her son Owen's in remission, thank goodness. But she leads the charge, and we have members at each school who step up and really promote and do the collection. The kids do a tremendous job. I have a picture of course, I wore my Patriots onesie all day, and I went around the district driving school to school, hoping I didn't get pulled over, I get a flat tire. But it was you know, I try to make it fun, but it's a very serious event. But, you know, all the kids get into it. And we have a picture. Mr. Lewandowski was in it, too. I think he was wearing some Versace, I don't know, something. The latest and greatest. I don't dress as nice. I always pick on him in a nice way because he dresses nicer than me. But we were in once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil down here. And, you know, we had just one lunch wave of kids. There's 3 lunch waves at the high school, and there must have been, I don't know, over 100 kids in that picture. And then Mr. Johnson, of course, we had to have him stand to the side. He was taking up too much camera. He did one of these. It was kind of fun. But, you know, on a serious note, last I checked, we were in 6th in the state, so I think last year we were in the top 5 in the entire state. You know, for a small district, you know, we're really proud of the effort from our kids across the entire district, from pre-K through 12th grade, and all of our staff. So thank you to everyone involved. I just wanted to remind everyone that if you're looking for a job in the world of education, whether it's working in food service or working as a substitute custodian or in a classroom in different teaching positions, we have a number of positions open across the district. It's really been a tough year for filling positions. We've been in overall very good shape, but, you know, unfortunately, there's been much more transiency, if you will, with sometimes people come and they'll leave for a number of different reasons, but, you know, in certain positions more than others. But we are looking for qualified staff, so hopefully if either someone watching or if there's someone you can refer. I've also asked our staff members to refer a friend, and we're trying to incentivize that a little bit just to get and retain the best staff so that we can do the very best we can for kids. Our biggest challenge right now is with the illnesses and substitutes and being short on subs, and, you know, everyone's stepping up and pitching in and doing the best they can, and keeping our schools running as smoothly as possible and as normal as possible. So we've really been fortunate. But again, if you're interested, please, there's contact information to contact Stacy Buden in our Human Resources, and you can apply online through AppleTrack on our website. I also shared information about the sophomore class officers are holding a holiday extravaganza here at the high school on Friday night. It's a fundraiser. I'm not sure, maybe Mr. White will talk about that as part of PAC, but it's a great event. The kids asked me to help promote it if I could. There's going to be a lot of fun things for kids and families, so arts and crafts, cookie decorating, holiday themed games and prizes, a raffle, all kinds of good stuff. So if you're not doing anything on Friday night between 6 and 9, come support our kids in the holiday extravaganza and get yourself an even more holiday spirit. And hopefully, maybe you'll hear our chamber choir, our chorus, and the band's performing this week as well. I did want to mention quickly, we've been, as Mr. Adler's team could tell you, and Kevin Ross, who's behind the screen up there, Kevin spent more time than anybody on getting our Mutual Link system up and running. And without going to too much secure information, Mutual Link is really a way of integrating our panic buttons and having more readily available panic buttons to any teacher or any staff member in the school. And if there's ever a need, directing a response from the police in the quickest, most efficient, and most effective way possible, eliminating any wasted time. Also opening up chains of communication between members of our safety team, the police, first responders from Plainville, if needed from other towns as well. It's a pretty sleek and sophisticated system, and I'm pretty sure that Plainville's the first to have it fully completed. Mr. Ross was here with Mr. Demurd, and Demurd doing testing at 5:30 in the morning all last week, so he was awfully tired. But testing the system and doing some troubleshooting, but we're in really good shape to start the next phase, which will be a lot of training and really utilize this tool. Today we had, as you know, there was a bank robbery nearby Linden in the high school, so we went into a shelter in place. Really quick communication using our radios, which have a police channel. I was at Linden at the time, so we were able to effectively, deal with that situation, which was relatively minor, but just following, an abundance of caution. But, systems, when things happen, you need to have the best and the most accurate and the most timely systems to react and to act calmly because you're prepared. So that's what all of this is about. So, I'm really confident, and a lot of work's been done, so I appreciate everyone that's been involved. I've been involved with, I think, 6 years working on in a number of different, with the security since I was assistant superintendent, but Plainville is a really safe and secure district. We're going to continue to make it more safe and more secure. I did share about Care Solace, which is a program that we have a contract with, that they can provide mental health supports, especially at the holidays. It's for many it's a really happy, joyful time, and it should be. But for many, it's also it can be a very sad time, thinking about loved ones that may not be with them anymore, or other mental health and anxiety and stress. So I just encourage anyone, if they're struggling at the holidays or any time, to use the resources we have for our employees, for our students, for our families, and families of our staff as well. It's open to all of them, and it's been very effective so far. And I think that's all I have, other than, just please look at the wonderful accolades from our athletics department. We had 13 all-conference athletes from the fall sports, and we had 3 all-state athletes. Trevor Rao, I'm sorry if I say this wrong. Do you have this in your report, kids? Navel Heredia, I'm sorry. I think it's Nayeli. Yep. Thank you. You're welcome. Nayeli, nice job. Heredia, and Chase McNamara, I can say that one, okay. So congratulations on all state, it's quite an accomplishment. All academic teams, lots of that as well. So I believe that's it, other than just to say congratulations in advance to, well, that's for my first part. For my piece, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lewandowski. I want to congratulate the students who were nominated by their staff at their individual schools. I know many or most of the board members will be there on the 15th, Thursday. We're starting the superintendent's recognition luncheon once again, which will be held at J. Timothy's. We did it for years and years, and when COVID hit, we stopped doing it. So we're happy to do it again, and we're hoping everyone stays healthy. But we have, it's very competitive. It's based on a number of character and being just a really, really positive and great citizen of the schools. And I won't go with the names here, but we have 2 fifth graders at each elementary school, 2 8th graders, and 3 seniors from the high school. So I congratulate them and look forward to celebrating them on Thursday. Next, I'm going to turn it over. That's my kind of district updates piece. I'm going to turn the next part over. We always do this next piece as part of the preparations for the operating budget season and just a budget picture. You're going to be hearing about capital budget. Some members heard about it the other night at the Finance and Facilities Committee. But leading up to budget, Mr. Lewandowski, Assistant Superintendent Extraordinaire, has prepared our annual enrollment and class size report, which gives a really comprehensive look at Plainville, the number of students we have, the change in how our students, migrate to and from Plainville, which is, we have, migrate's probably the wrong word, but we do have more of a transient population than probably ever before. So he'll share some information about that now. Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski.
Thank you, Mr. LePage. I appreciate it. That was half my report that you just said.
You're welcome. Slide 17, you can just skip that.
No, it's my pleasure to present the annual class size and staffing report as we plan for the 2023-24 school year. Hopefully, this will allow you to see what our enrollment, staffing, and class size are projected to be for next school year. And as you know, I'm sure every year we say this is absolutely not set in stone. It's the best that we can do with the numbers that we have. But as Mr. LePage said, there's a lot of movement within the district, and some of the slides will show you how much movement we do have. Next slide. So this slide takes into account the trends and forecasts for live births in town and the impact on enrollment as these children become school-aged. One impact the enrollment forecast is things like new housing, new developments, and different rentals that we have that continue to be filled. We've also seen an increase in families moving into Plainville as of late, and we've had a few families actually choose to pay tuition to remain in Plainville after they've moved. So this tries to take into account live births and kind of give a forecast on what that means, but obviously there's a lot of other factors in play. For this upcoming school year, if you look all the way to the right under that blue line, in the pink, 2,307 students is the forecast for next year based on this model. As I go through, you'll see that if we look at actual students, we're going to come in a little lower than that for our projection. But again, this changes very rapidly. Next slide. This is another look at the forecast. Again, a 2012 enrollment study was done, and these numbers are based on that enrollment study. But because the actual enrollment over the past few years has trended higher than the forecast in the past, we've taken that into account with additional forecasts. So the enrollment has continued to bounce back since the pandemics, because we saw that drop in the pandemic. We've seen that come up pretty healthily. And although the actual projected enrollment looks to be approximately 30 students less than the forecasted 2,307, our total number of students tends to increase from now until the start of next school year. So last year at this time, we actually had a projected enrollment of 2,268 students for this school year, and we right now currently have 2,311. So there's a wide disparity sometimes with what we project and then what we actually have a few months later. Next slide. So this colorful chart, basically if you just follow the colors from one year to the next, so this current school year is right in the middle. So those are the number of teachers we have at each elementary school, the number of students, enrolled in each class at each elementary school. And we try to carry those numbers forward to give a projection for next school year. Knowing that pre-K and kindergarten are the kind of wild cards, we try to have 120 students in our pre-K program each year. We're close to that right now. And then kindergarten is that wild card because we try to look at how many preschool students are going to move up to kindergarten, but then we know that we have families that do not choose preschool in Plainville or for whatever reason choose other providers, so we have to try to make an educated guess. So for those numbers, I tend to use a multi-year average and then come up with the numbers that I have right there, which is 50, 50, and 40, and 140 kindergartners. Next slide. So just like last slide, this chart projects the middle and high school enrollments based off current numbers, with the anticipated difference in students per grade band and school total. These numbers, again, are constantly changing with new registrations and withdrawals, but as you can see, we're projecting an overall decrease in the middle school population while anticipating an increase in the high school enrollment. We do have 8th grade families who choose alternate educational opportunities for their high schooling, so that could change as well. This year, if you look at the current enrollment, our two biggest grade levels, those kind of like bubble grades, were our transition grades, our 6th graders and our 9th graders. Our 5th grade group that's scheduled to come into the middle school is much smaller than that bubble group that we had. So we did see a couple grade levels with very large numbers. Next slide. So here's the projected in-district enrollment across the district, with an anticipated total enrollment of 2,272 students. Again, providing you with context on enrollment changes. Last year's presentation projected 2,268, and we have 2,311. So that 2,272 could in fact be a lot higher once we start next school year. Next slide. Okay. This slide projects the total number of open choice students from Hartford as well as our students attending schools elsewhere. So you can see some of them named where they have other choices. When looking at students coming in and students going out, we anticipate little net change, but those numbers don't account for any potential pre-K open choice students that we may add, and without knowing how many more students may choose an out-of-district school next year. Typically our 8th grade students would have that choice. We may see some of them choose alternate schools. We do try to enroll approximately 120 open choice students each year, and as you can see, next year it's projected to be 107, so we'll probably be adding to that total. We try to do about 5% of our student population as open choice, which allows us to maximize our per pupil funding from the open choice program. We have 18 students that are attending Hartford Magnets, and we do not pay tuition for those, but we do pay for the CREC Magnet schools. And you can see on the right-hand column, CREC Magnet schools, we have 25 students projected to be there next school year. Again, when we look to increase open choice enrollment, we do it as to what's appropriate for our district based on class sizes, availability, and what's in our grade level currently. We are also continuing our efforts to market our district and advertise what we offer, so our students and families have a more complete understanding of the educational experience and opportunities that are available in Plainville schools. At this point last year, we had projected 126 students in out-of-district schooling, 20 more than we are projecting for next year. So that could speak to our efforts with keeping students in our home schools. Next slide. So this slide provides a look at certified teachers broken out by elementary school and grade level during the current school year. The number of staff at each school is commensurate with the size of the school and the additional programs that that school houses. So we have a total of 61 currently. Go to the next slide. And this is a proposed elementary staffing for next year. With our projected enrollment numbers, we anticipate needing the same number of staff as the current year, with adjustments made to the number of sections or classes at certain grade levels. Now again, this is a preliminary look at where our teachers would go out of those 61, how many to each grade level, but changes in student enrollment within specific grade levels or even in specific schools may result in the need to shift how the teachers are represented in this chart. So we have those conversations as we move along and get closer to the end of the school year so we can staff appropriately. Next slide. So class size averages are projected to be similar to years past, with no present concerns about class sizes that are too large. Prior to the end of the school year, again, we revisit enrollment to make necessary shifts and to ensure that the primary grades have smaller class sizes, which are more desirable during the foundational learning stages. There may also be fluctuations in specific schools that would necessitate shifting staff from one grade level to another, or even from one school to another. Next slide. This slide displays the number of secondary teachers per school and department. For that unified arts area, that comprises of career and technology education teachers, along with media, art, physical education, and music. We continue to be praised for the offerings and experiences we are able to provide in these areas with the number of staff that we have. Next slide. So again, we anticipate next year's class sizes to be very similar and don't foresee any issues with class sizes within the team structure at MSP. Next slide. So these class size averages for the special classes are expected to remain very manageable with our current staffing levels based on enrollment projections. An area we are actively working on is world language. This, again, continues to be an area that's extremely challenging to staff in the middle school level. And that's not just in Plainville, that's across the state. Next slide. So this slide displays a number of sections currently running at Plainville High School for core content areas, along with the average class sizes. So classes vary in student enrollment due to level and whether the course is an elective or a graduation requirement. So these numbers are an average, but you can get lower numbers and higher numbers as you look at the sections. But we also have students that take more than one course within the department. So if you just look at that number of students, we don't have over 1,000 students in our high school. So it's just a matter of students taking multiple classes in that content area. So this next slide will give you an idea of student movement within our district. You know, it's a definite moving target. So this slide highlights the challenges with projecting enrollment at any point during the year, as the movement of students in and out of the district is a continuous occurrence. This slide displays the changes that have occurred from the beginning of the summer until the end of November. Although the 375 enrollments and withdrawals seems high, last year at this point, our registration office had processed 512. So hopefully the decline in total numbers means that we are beginning to normalize a little after the pandemic, but overall it still shows that Plainville student population, as Mr. LePage said, is transient, which can have negative impacts on the educational process due to constant turnover. So I do have, there's like 4 or 5 additional slides that just go into specific high school grade, like 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade, just some of the courses that we offer and class size, but it's just more of the same that you've seen, just kind of represented in a different manner. But it's a lot of numbers to look at. So if you have any questions right now, feel free to ask them. but you may need to digest some of those numbers first and just email us questions or anything that you may have, but not too much of a difference with our projections than last year. Overall, it's pretty similar.
Madam Chair. Hi, I just have a note on page 10, the district elementary class size averages. I have the same concern as I did previously with kindergarten, first grade, and second grade levels, the class size, the trend of the class size being heavy, where they stood back in 2012 and 13, significantly lower by 4 to 5 students. And my concern is that, you know, the projection, as you said, was that, you know, projection of a 3-4 year average to get the numbers for 23-24, and that was the hope for this year. But yet we're still at 18-19 students for a first grade class, and some of the high school classes are less than 19 students. And I recognize that there are substitutes, not substitutes, but aides that help in the class when they're larger classes, but it's not the same as when the class size is 15 students. And I think that we really need to look at the class size structures for the younger kids, especially coming out of COVID, and recognize that some of these children do have significant delays in reading, not necessarily because of an issue with them, but just in general, because they haven't been going to the library. They just haven't been getting the supports that they maybe would have gotten otherwise. Those are my same concerns, you know, the teacher to child ratios for the young elementary classes. So.
Do we have any stats on that as far as?
Yeah, so what we do is we tend to, as we get, as I said, closer to the end of the year, we look at those numbers again and we make shifts based on those numbers. So we actually, last year in one school, we shifted teachers from the upper grades down so that we had more kindergarten teachers. So Wheeler's one school where I think the numbers are 13, 14, and 14 because we were able to shift a teacher down and not have too high of a ratio in the upper grades. Because the upper grades, even though we can go a little larger, we don't want to go too large for the same reasons. So we were able to do that in one school. In some of the other schools, we had more of what you see in the high school and middle school. We have a bubble. And we had a big group of kids. And if we took one from the upper levels, we were going to like 29, 30 in the upper grade levels. So we had to make a decision to make it manageable across the board and give supports that we could. So yes, it's something that we're always looking at and trying to keep as low as possible. So your point's well taken.
Sometimes the challenge becomes, you know, when you're close to that cusp, if you were to add another teacher, of course, it's a budgetary impact with salary and benefits. But then, you know, say if you had, for instance, if you're looking at like second grade at Linden, on the colorful chart, there was 18, 19, 18. If you add another teacher, you know, for 55 students, you'd end up with, you know, 12 and 13 students in a class. So you can go from, you know, sort of approaching the higher side to going to a really, really small class size. And, you know, it's really difficult to sustain that, because then that would be, you'd have that teacher and you'd have to either reduce that teacher the next year or shift them around. We've stayed fairly static. We've gone up a little bit in the number of elementary teachers since I've been here. I think we might have had 58 or 59 years ago. We're at 61. But we look at this very carefully with our principals. We make really the best educational decision we can with the budgetary dollars that we're able to secure. So it's something that's very, very much in our minds all the time.
Have we looked at the students anymore and evaluated them based on where they are academically since being back in school this year?
Yeah, constantly. We have a whole assessment calendar for the elementary schools, and then at the middle school as well, and the high school has a different series of assessments. It's more subject-based, but and department. But Yeah, we have an entire, the IRTs, instructional resource teachers, instructional leaders, and, our entire team meets on a regular basis, looking at the data, making instructional shifts. They talk about that data at grade level meetings. Each teacher knows their students' data for all the different assessments that they give. We will do an assessment update. Probably, I may couple that in January when we do the high school report, but that just, it makes for a long meeting, but it's really important that you have that information.
Right.
We're spending a lot of time looking at data, and it's really not, it's just a word, but it's information on how we need to shift instruction to better meet the needs of the kids and accelerate their learning, because there were definitely learning gaps that happened during COVID across the state, across the country, and in Plainville. So we're very much addressing those needs in a very specific way. It's part of my district goals this year. It's part of every principal's school improvement plan. It's part of every teacher's goals. So it's something that we're hyper aware of, yes, and focused on.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. We can have volunteers in the school again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way we can do once the holidays are over, like another push to do like reading in the classroom, or for, because of the numbers, sometimes having the volunteers and do more reading can take some of the stress off of the teachers and the professionals, and stuff. I don't know, to do a reach out to people that might be interested in volunteering, or?
We have a Reading Partners program that Sue Bradley runs. She does a tremendous job with bringing in, residents and volunteers to read. I think we have some at this table. I know we do. And Mr. Lewandowski and I go in and read. And they have older students who come in and read with younger students as well. We have a specific reading curriculum that we follow, so the teacher really has to be the skilled expert in implementing that curriculum.
Right.
So that's the challenge that you have for like free reads and pleasure, like fun reading and read alouds. That's great for the guest readers, but
Yeah, I think actually Mr. Wallace just tweeted out a couple families that just came in, parents that read to their kids' classes. Some of them were cultural books based on
Right.
their background and in their language. So it's just, there's a lot of that going on too. So every school has parents that come in at different times to read, so in their own ways.
And Read Across America Day is the big one when we have lots and lots of people in. But, absolutely.
Maybe we could do a Read Across Plainville Day.
I have a quick question, Mr. Lewandowski. And I don't need an answer right now, but I was just, so I don't forget to ask you, just in tracking the data of students who might move out after 8th grade, do we look at alternative education or private education and track and trend that as well? And I guess my part B question would be, have we seen, has that remained steady, increased, decreased? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't know if, some private, if they go to a high school, private high school from here, guidance would track that. So we usually do track the students that we know and go somewhere and figure out how many did we lose, and that's something when we're talking about like marketing what we offer, we wanted to see the data on that, because we want to see how many options are out there and how many are choosing different options and why. So we even asked, I had guidance asking questions to families about why did you choose, or why are you thinking about this school? Just so we can have a conversation about if they mention something that we do very well here, but maybe they don't know, then that conversation is good to have. So what we're trying to do is just increase our education around our school system from a very young age, to say this is what we have in elementary, middle, and high school. And if you kind of miss any of those levels, let's say you go to elementary with us, you leave for middle school, come back for high school, you've missed a chunk of that continuity that we have, because that's what we try to do, build each year off what we learned and what we have to offer. So we're hoping it can make a difference. We've started that work. I showed that number where we have 20 less kids that moved out than we thought we're going to, so it's a start. Hopefully we can.
We could find the data if you want it for parochial and private. I think it's a pretty small number, but we could look at it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how many in this area a lot of the private schools are closing. It's a lot of magnets and things like that.
Some to go to St. Paul's and things like that, but it's more go to magnets and those options, but we could get those numbers. I'm
But,
pretty
yep.
sure our school counseling department has that. Yeah. Any other questions on that piece of my report? And like Mr. Lewandowski said, you can always ask questions after as well, and we can get you the answers to those, because I know there's a lot of information when you have time to digest it all. Okay, we'll transition to the 23-24 capital budget plan and proposal. Just to give the background on this, we did have the Finance and Facility Subcommittee. I want to thank Foster White and Rachel Buchanan and Cassandra Clark, who serve on that committee, were present and heard a presentation. In addition to a number of facilities updates that have happened across the district, a significant number, heard about the factors that are contributing to my superintendent's proposed capital budget plan. It's a 5-year plan that we must submit every year to the town for consideration. So just to clarify, as I said that evening, the capital budget is a budget that puts everything that we firmly believe that we really need for the district in the coming year and then across the next 5 years, and it's a way of mapping it out so we can plan accordingly. Typically that budget, it always starts highest with my proposal because it's everything that we believe we need, and then decisions are made at a number of levels, first starting with the meeting with the Board of Education, which is now, and we had the preliminary Finance and Facilities Committee. The board will vote on the proposed budget tonight. From there, it goes to the town manager for consideration and discussion, and likely further reductions in every year that I've been here. That's what happens at that level, and then from there, that it's submitted to the town council for again further review, consideration, and typically it goes down from there again. So this is really what we believe, based on the needs of the district, is necessary in order to operate our district, keep our schools running effectively, efficiently, with the technology that we need, safely and in a healthy way. Mr. Ross, do you have that presentation? Sam, did you share that?
Yeah, I did.
It's a 7-slide presentation about the capital. It's 12-12-22 CIP approval.
This, when you were looking in.
I thought I saw it up there.
You were just.
Yeah, you're on there, Kevin. Yeah, thank you. So I won't go through it was a much longer presentation for the Finance and Facilities Committee. This is kind of an overview, and we took some of the advice from the committee members and broke it out further. The biggest thing to consider in this is that, well, first of all, the recommendation is that the board approve for submission to the town manager the Board of Education 2024 to 2028 capital plan totaling $4,173,328 for the fiscal year 2024. So at the bottom of this cover slide, you'll see it's broken out to explain that's by location. The biggest factor in that budget, which is obviously and admittedly much greater than the typical budget proposal that comes from me. It includes the middle school, facilities and technology, which total $3.39 million. And you'll see on the next slide when I get to it, I'll explain that a little further. If you can go back for a second though, Mr. Ross. All other facilities, the other 4 schools, and the technology for the district as part of the technology replacement plan would be $783. That'd be $783,000. That'd be the typical budget submission I'd be making this evening. So it's broken out by middle school and all other. Thank you, Mr. Ross. If you go to the next slide. So this just details, some background information. Most years, the town council ends up approving between $300,000 and $400,000 for capital needs. Our initial proposal this year, as you know, as I just said, is $4.173 million. This is largely due to the inclusion of the deferred maintenance. So for many years, we've been able to patch and repair and some smaller replacements, but putting larger replacements and things that are needed at the middle school off until we hit the 30-year mark when we're eligible for a Renovate Like New application to the state. Last year, we spent the year working with Construction Solutions Group and the Capital Projects Building Committee preparing that application. However, due to the pricing of everything going really through the roof and the timing, it was presented to the council and in June it was denied by a vote of 4-3 to go to a referendum vote, which stopped the renovation progress in its tracks for at least a year. You have to apply by June 30th for the following year, which has to go to legislation, then the legislature, and then you have a referendum vote, which was going to be planned for November, this past November. So with that not happening and deferring all those repairs and replacements of critical items of the middle school, the roof and other items, large items that you'll see in a minute, we, based on the guidance of Construction Solutions Group that did a full analysis on the middle school, of the needs for that school and the most pressing needs of elements of that school that are past their life, so they're past their usable life. We included those items only for the next year for this capital budget. So that's what you see in there, as well as the technology is really in pretty bad shape. The projection monitors. It just so happens that it's the middle school's year. It's their 6th year. They've had the laptops they have for 6 years, so it's their replacement year for laptops as well. That was just by coincidence, but that also adds to the number for the middle school. So as I said, you saw the numbers on the last page, so that second bullet point, $3.39 million for the middle school, $783,000 for all other. So this would be, this also includes the outlying years go out to 2028. The plan was reviewed in detail at 2 facilities and finance subcommittee meetings. Again, I thank the members who spent a lot of time, and the council members who came to the large meeting we had in the Learning Commons about the middle school specifically at that first meeting, and then last week regarding the entire capital budget and really getting a solid overview of the big picture and what we're facing. Because, in my position, as I've shared with town leaders, I'm required to put forward in this budget, in my initial budget, what I believe is the most representative of the needs of our schools for the coming year. And it's really for the Board of Education and the town leaders to consider how it all fits into the big picture with everything else happening with the budget. So just moving on to the next slide. So as I said, it goes to the town manager after the board approves it, and then he'll make any modifications, and then the town council will modify further. This is just, I know it's small, but this just shows the trend or the history since 2019-20 year. So the initial proposal, that's a step I didn't mention. That's what comes to me from Mr. Ross and my facilities director, which was Mr. Bussell, now it's Mr. Smith, for all the needs of the town. From there, we would normally work and say, well, we could probably wait on this. Let's put that. They're never going to take $808,000. I'm just looking back that year. What can we reduce? What can we put off toward next year? With the big picture, and so that's where it comes to my proposed budget. Then the Board of Ed has accepted my proposed budget for the last every year for the last 4 years, and then from there it goes to the town manager. As you can see, it's reduced, and then from the council reduced it further. So this is very atypical, where we're coming forward with a $4.173 million budget. And I've already explained the reasoning for that. Mr. Ross, if you could go to the next slide. This shows you the next 5 years. I know it's broken down by the major projects, and again, these were projects that our experts and the experts from Construction Solutions Group said are the most pressing things that need to be done. Also other items that just need to be done because they're starting to fail across the district that aren't part of the middle school. So it's mapped out so we can plan accordingly, so there's no surprises, and we don't have the money budgeted for a major expense. So you can see this is just for the rest of the district without the middle school. So this is middle school excluded. You can see the $783,328 that would have been the situation, facilities and technology expenses. You go to the next slide, Kevin. This is just for the middle school. So the biggest items here were the creation of a secure vestibule. I did hire an armed security officer who had worked on the governor's security detail, long-time state police officer who's working out very well there, and he is keeping the school, helping to keep the middle school, much safer. I sleep much better at night knowing that we have him at the front doors. It's not a secure entryway vestibule where you're only allowed into, the first stage before going into the office. So that's something that needs to be done. The experts at CSG told us, similar projects were over $1 million, but they gave us a number of $900,000. It's just an estimate. We'd have to have the whole architectural plan done for that specific project. It could be less, it could be more. But that's what they told us we should use. Replacing the chillers at $50,000 at the middle school. These are all part of the HVAC system. The middle school AC for the gymnasiums, it's a recurring headache to be, and I feel badly. The kids, we have students here from the high school who were at the middle school, and it was probably really hot in that gym at the middle school. They're nodding their heads, and I get complaints every year, and it really does get oppressive, especially if you go to the 8th grade, transition ceremony in there, and it's a hot day. I hear about that for a couple weeks after, but really in the best interest of kids and the air quality, with the heightened legislation on air quality, we want to get those AC units done for next year. Replace the elevator. It's broken down a number of times. We've had students and staff members stuck in there. It's something that needs to be done. It's one of those things, if you're rolling the dice, you're risking that happening again. Replacing the cooling tower. Those are, again, part of the HVAC system, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. The walk-in refrigerator it's on its last leg, and that's a $70,000 repair or replacement. All the exterior door hardware is really in bad shape. They don't even make it anymore. They figure out a way to fix it, but the exterior hardware is really in bad shape. So that needs to be done. Rewiring of the entire building for the technology systems that we need. Things are really not wired well now. And it's not ergonomically sensible in the classrooms, the way things are set up for where the teacher would teach. So Mr. Ross could tell you all about that for a long time, but we won't do that tonight. The public address system for making announcements, it's really poor. When it's noisy at all, you can't hear announcements in a number of locations. Tried to repair that the best we could over the years, but it's really in bad shape. So in the event of emergency, that it could be a bad situation. The display monitors in all the classrooms need to be replaced. They're not in good shape. We've done it. We, meaning Kevin and his team, have done it at Toffelon, Linden, the high school, and Wheeler, of course, through the renovation. So it's just the middle school that needs that done. And then the sound system, classroom sound system, again, that's part of the public address systems that needs to be done. So that totals up to a lot of money, $3.39 million. This was all part of the Renovate Lake New project, along with a lot of other things. It was a $58.3, I think, $1 million price tag for that project, and that was, the estimate at the time. Sorry. I'm talking too much. So, next slide, please. This is just the technology for the entire district. And it includes a lot of technology at the middle school. It does include the technology replacement cycle for Chromebooks. And it also includes, E-rate and a number of other important elements of our technology plan. Mr. Ross has done an incredible job year after year of budgeting sensibly so that we're replacing on a cycle so that we're adding new Chromebooks, for instance, in grades 1, 5, and 9. Those kids are having those Chromebooks for 4 years before getting a new Chromebook, so they're expected to be responsible. He's done a great job with our self-insurance on that and fixing them in-house. A lot of, we have kind of the king of school technology in Plainville, and he does all the district technology. Thank you. I just swallowed, I think, some coffee the wrong way. I appreciate it, though. I'm healthy as a horse, I promise. Thank you. So that just gives you an overview of, like I said, the middle school staff laptops. It just happens to be their year. They're 6 years old. You can see on the far right the number of the years old of the system. The wiring at the middle school is 22 years old. The public address system is 30 years old. You're better off with a megaphone in the hallway. It's not good. The displays are 13 years old and they fail. The sound system with the wireless mics is 13 years old. So a lot of really aged equipment. Next slide, Mr. Ross. We're almost there. We are there. So there's a lot there. I would say that, I commend the, again, the Finance Facilities Subcommittee, and we did record it. Mrs. Tyrell was able to be there. Some weren't able to be there, but I know others watched it after the fact. It's about a 95-minute presentation and discussion. So I appreciate everyone's attention to it. It's a lot of money, I understand, and there's a lot of factors involved, but I have to put forward the best budget that I believe will get the middle school and the rest of the district in the shape that we need it to be in, to be safe, to keep it healthy, and to improve our system so that we have what we need so the kids can have a good learning experience at the middle school. So there was good discussion about a number of things and consideration about whether we should reduce anything. We understand this is the starting point and things will be reduced, from here, whether tonight or beyond. It'll be reduced from here on out. So in my role as the superintendent, I feel it's my responsibility to put everything in there that I believe that we need, and then as the process works itself out, we'll find out how much we have to work with, and we're going to have to do what we can to prioritize. And we're working with town leaders to try to figure out a way to address the needs of the district, whether it's in the capital plan or not. But I appreciate that cooperation and collaboration, and it's all about the kids. This is I don't live in Plainville, but if I did, I'd want to make sure that they had the very best. And as the superintendent, I want to make sure my kids, I call them my kids in Plainville, have the very best that they can. So that's my presentation on capital budget. Mr. Adlerstein or Mr. Ross, or anything else to add that I missed? No? Okay. And that concludes my report, Madam Chair and board members.
Thank you.
That'll be an item for voting on later.
Would it be less expensive if we did something like this and put it out to referendum instead of itemizing them within a capital plan?
Yes. So absolutely. So the state, Plainville gets $65.23 on the dollar for qualifying items on a Renovate Lake New project, and some items wouldn't qualify. And because of our school population and the size of this physical plant of the school, we would end up closer to the 60% reimbursement rate. So every dollar that's spent, Plainville would get of reimbursable expenses. Plainville would get about 60 cents on every dollar. And as I explained during the process of the Renovate Lake New project, due to our choice participation rate as well, it comes years down the road after the project's completed and the board accepts the project as completed. The number of open choice students that you have in your school at that time, the percentage I should say, adds a bonus to your reimbursement rate that comes after the fact. So it wouldn't be, if the renovation was done tomorrow, it may not be for 3 or 4 years or more down the road, but it would be an additional 5. We have 5% of our students from the open choice program, as Mr. Lewandowski shared. So that would add that 5% that we'd lose from the building being oversized by a bit, it was built for a larger population, but because of our creative program, our STEAM and our STEAM programs, our robotics lab, you know, all the great things, the media, the green screen, MSPN News, all of the great things that we have going on there, it takes up space that could be, you know, probably more efficiently used in a regular traditional classroom, but it's not conducive to what we need for our learners. So that was all part of it. We submitted 2 cost waivers to the state for the size of the building, and they were declined, and they said we could speak with legislators and try to get some additional funding going through the legislature like it used to be done years ago. But anyway, to answer your question in far few words, yes, it would be cheaper in the long run. So I think on the flip side of that, you know, the full project is is more than was expected. I think for years we talked about in the 30s of millions, you know, $35 million. So when I think the sticker shock of $58 or more million was intimidating, but you know, the share of the town's share of that would have been, you know, 40 or so, 35 to 40% of that, and it's not paid in one lump sum. It's over time, and you're reimbursed throughout the process by the state. So, yes, but you know, I try to be pragmatic and understanding, and I can understand both sides of that, but I'm obviously fully in favor of the Renovate Lake Noise. A lot of time was spent preparing for that last year,
Right.
and unfortunate with our you know, our climate, our economic climate, and our economy, and inflation, and the recession, all those concerns that lead into it, you know, the interest rates. So there's a lot of factors that make it really challenging. But, you know, I'm always going to be in favor of a Renovate Lake New project, because you're getting, instead of piecemealing the projects, you know, as they break or just before they break, and trying to do it just in time, you're taking a school and making it the best it can be. You're you know, top to bottom, getting a brand new school that's going to last you for another 30 or more, you know, hopefully 30 more years, without having to do the piecemeal repairs throughout the, you know, and you can budget for it that way, you know, in addition, you know, of analysis, as, you know, I'm sure this is talked about at the town level as well. I know it has been, but the debt management, the debt service is in a really good condition right now. So that would have been a, you know, as far as debt service goes, it's really an ideal time for incurring, in some ways, for managing that debt that the middle school would have resulted in. So, you know, one way or the other, I think the important point is that we can't do nothing for many of these items. They're on their last leg, and they risk failing at any time. So I just think it's really important that we plan one way or another, and it's out of our hands. You know, I think it's going to have to be a shared effort to try to figure out the best way to make this, to get the middle school. You know, if it's not going to be a Renovate Lake New project, which I'm understanding is not a motivation right now, most likely, for the next, you know, by June 30th, then we're going to have to figure out how to, and that's why this budget is what it is. It includes all the items that I believe are most essential to plan for this coming year. And that's all. That's a long question to your short answer.
No, it's okay.
Long answer to your short question.
I wasn't at some of the meetings because I was out of state, but I just wanted to kind of clarify what my understanding was, and what was discussed. And I know that we talked about the Renovate Lake New, and that had been turned down. I guess my next question would be, putting it out for referendum. Is that the same thing?
We can't put it out for a referendum unless you have to apply by June 30th, and
That's
it only
the
goes to
whole-
referendum if
okay,
the
that's the
council
same
votes for it to go to referendum. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's the same thing. So
So-
we can't put it out for referendum. That's a town
I see.
town council has to vote to put it out to referendum.
Okay. And the parents, have we talked about this with the schools and with the middle school parents? About what needs to be done and what?
Last year, when we were in the process, they were well aware that we're you know, we were preparing to apply for it. You know, we've talked about it quite a bit in all my newsletters and my communications. And that, you know, when it failed, there was quite a bit of upset. But, you know, we're at this point now that we have to figure out where to go from here. And I think it has to be, you know, collaboratively done so that we you know, work together toward a solution.
Okay.
You know, if it's not now, I'm just planning when and how.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
We're going to move forward to the board
Can I ask a
subcommittee.
question? I'm sorry.
Sure.
On the topic?
Yes.
Okay. On topic, I just, Mr. LePage, you mentioned that some of the items have been 13 years old or older and have been needing repair for years, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, and that the Renovate Like New project has been planned for a while now. How long has the plan to renovate Like New been made? I mean, I'm new to this whole thing, so I've only been on the board for a couple of years, and you mentioned that at the beginning, when it was first spoken of, whoever the group of people that was speaking of the Renovate Like New, the first estimates were $30 million. So how long ago was it that you were planning to renovate Like New for the middle school? 5 years ago, 3 years ago?
Well, since, honestly, it's been part of the discussion since I've been in the district 13 years, and I've heard it spoken about for at least the last 10 with, you know, former superintendents, and it's been part of my talking points with the budget preparation, because every year we prepare the capital budget, we take items off of the capital, of the original capital proposal that comes from our facilities department, saying we really need to get this done. It's at risk of failure. But through conversations with the town manager and then with the Board of Education, with the idea that we're going to hold off because we can get 65 cents or close to it on the dollar to get it done through the renovation when the building turns 30 years old. I went with Robert Lee and spoke with the heads of the, you know, Department of Administrative Services when he was town manager a few years ago, just to prepare to make sure that we knew what was part of that process and how to prepare for that. I think, Sam, no, you didn't go to that one with me, but so we went down and we got guidance on that. We learned exactly, you know, because there's different dates as anniversary dates of your building, so it's when it's accepted as complete. That's the 30-year mark. So the date was well in line. We knew it was part of the projection. We talked openly about putting things off until we hit that time so we could get the reimbursement instead of trying to do it paying 100% for the projects as things fail or just before they fail. So it's part of the narrative for the last many years.
Okay, so my last question, so it's safe to say that it's not this collective board, but it is the middle school, basically the roof, the gym. There's some items that have needed repair for several years, but they've been neglected to be changed or renovated or fixed because you've been waiting for the Renovate Like New project.
No, well, I wouldn't say neglected. They've been repaired and fixed.
But I mean, they haven't been
and
completely
maintained so that they keep working. You know, they break and we fix them, but they need to be replaced. Is what, you know. So
But I'm just saying
yeah.
that it has not been. We've gotten ourselves into this pickle because of the plan. I don't want to end up 20 years from now, another board in the same spot, whether financially or something that, I guess to keep in mind that you know, a Renovate Like New project,
Yeah, it wasn't.
although is a good,
Yeah.
you still, like, when it comes to bigger things, you know, maybe.
It was the right thing to do, honestly, at the
Okay.
time, because, you know, if you can make it last and make it work and hold it together using a skilled facilities team that we have and bringing in outside repair people and fixing things, patching the roof, doing all those things until the 30-year mark. But then on the flip side, when you hit that mark, the expectation is that we've put all these things off for a long time. We need to get them done. So that's why why I feel we're in this position where we have to do something.
I have
Yeah,
a question.
Yes. Sorry.
I think historically, the district has done the same. They did it with this building. They did it with Linden Street School, they did it with Wheeler School, and they did it with Tofflon School. It has always been the process to take advantage of a renovate as new process offered by the state that does significantly reduce our overall cost. But Richie, really, this is an investment in a facility. This building was done. Then Linden Street was done, and then Tofflon was done, and then Wheeler was done, all using this same process. And so this is not something new. It has been historically the process for this district almost really since I've lived in this town, and I'm not going to embarrass myself to say how many years that was, but it's close to a half a century, a little bit more. But that is the process that we have been doing, and it has worked for us very well. We don't have that available to us right now, so we have got to seek some alternate process to get the job done. And that's what we discussed the other night, and I'll get to this a little bit later when we talk about what we did at facilities, that we are looking, okay, this is what we have to deal with, so this is how we're going to keep a facility operable and safety for our kids and make a good learning environment. These are things we feel have to be done. Unfortunately, they have to be done now. And then what's going to happen as we do them this way, it's just going to be repeating down the line, because we won't have a 30-year mechanism to work with. We'll have the HVAC will be done at one point. The roof will be done at another point. Wiring and technology will be done at another point. The secure entrance, which is essential to have, because this is the only building in our district that does not have a secure entrance. And we know what is going on in the world today, the importance of a secured entrance in a school. So personally, I think the $900,000 is probably on the high side, but it is a unique facility we're dealing with. And the experts have told us it may be this much money, so we have to account for that. Sorry to interrupt it. But.
No, and you raise a valid point that the items that you do outside of a Renovate Like New project, you basically start a timeline on those items. They won't be eligible for any kind of Renovate Like New inclusion until you hit like 30-year mark of that. So if you do all the chilling towers and the HVAC system, you have to wait 30 years. You can't include that in your application. So it decreases your chance of getting a future Renovate Like New project. The more big things you do for your building, the state does not, they don't like that. That's the reason they have this program, is so you do it all in one lump, and then the building ages at the same time, and then that's when you start your timeline. So, Crystal, did you have something you wanted to say?
That's pretty much what I was going to ask. Like, if we do those pieces, like fix the roof or fix different things, that does totally impact, right, the Renovate Like New?
It does. It could preclude us from being eligible. They may say that you've done, these 5 major systems, and the rest would be cosmetic. They throw in the cosmetic and all the, the upgrade of floors, ceilings, all the other things that are included. But if you're doing major systems, according to CSG, the experts, I'm not making this up, they say we're far less likely to be approved to be eligible for a Renovate Like New project. So that's the challenge, finding that balance of.
But in the future, we are not going to have the ability to renovate that building as new if we do it piecemeal, because we'll never have that full advantage. We may be able to get partially done, but we'll never have the full advantage in the future because of the action. If we are, especially if we do really too much right now.
That's right. I guess I'm just wondering where, where's the financial balance? You have the opportunity to purchase something at a more frugal cost and get it done versus piecemealing it and paying how much more thousands of dollars or millions of dollars are we paying by piecemealing it?
Well, I think it's a matter of, you don't get the same building that you would get for a Renovate Like New. You'd fix an air conditioning system or a chilling tower, but you're not going to have the opportunity to renovate your building and make it new. So it's in great shape for years. And I've seen buildings that are old and run down and not a real happy place to go to, and not in our district. But you know, it's an opportunity. The state makes it available for districts. It's based on your town's wealth. Fortunately, we have a really strong position in that with $65.23, 65.23%. So we're toward the higher end of that reimbursement rate. And you ran some analyses on that, right, Mr. Ellerstein? So anyway, you want to just share that?
Yeah, Plainville's reimbursement rate is higher than all but 27% of other districts. And if you look at the districts that get more reimbursement than us, a number of them are alliance districts. They're districts that, you know, the state treats differently. And, you know, I've heard it said that we're in a sweet spot where, you know, we have a great district. The state doesn't want to have a heavy hand with us, yet we attract a good reimbursement rate.
Right, the alliance districts there's a lot of state involvement because of the failure rates and a lot of other indicators on the accountability index that put them in a position of much more oversight, so they get a lot more resources. But, you know, we're not in that position, but we still have a good rate of return for the, so I guess enough said. Unless any other questions?
Sorry, I have a question, and I can save it for when we go to vote if there's going to be discussion there. I had sent a couple of questions over before the meeting, just after our last meeting, just some things that was working out in my head, because this is a difficult position to be in. So if we're not going to go up June 30th proposing, so looking at this next capital budget, what... And Mr. LePage, you answered one of my questions. The items that you have listed on the capital budget are the most pressing items. Those are the ones where if they don't, the vestibule essential, we've been talking about that, important. And the other items on the list, if we don't fix them, we could potentially be in a catastrophic situation. I guess my question would be, before we move this forward tonight, is there anything on that list that we would not be able to get done over the course of this next year when this falls into anything that, I just remember at the last meeting I said some of these things might not even be able to be done in the next year anyway. They're 3 to 5 year projects. Anything that we could remove to let another year go by, because I know, you know, a year to 5 years is what we're potentially looking at for the things Mr. LePage mentioned, inflation, interest rates, you know, our credit extended, letting Wheeler be closed out first so we can kind of come back to a more level playing field before bonding ourselves out in an unpredictable situation. So is there anything here that we can take off this list to get as much of this done as possible?
As far as the completion timeline, you know, we'd have to get, there is some, you know, back order on some materials and some, you know, work being done. So we actually have a meeting scheduled with Construction Solutions Group and the town manager, Mr. Paulus, and assistant town manager, and Mr. Ellerstein and I, and Mike Smith, Steve Bussell. Anybody else?
No, that's it.
I think that's it. So we're scheduling our next meeting to discuss, you know, what options, if not this, what, you know, what next? What would be some options? So I think that'd be something important to talk about as far as, you know, what could get done within a year. You know, what of these things do you know, this came from their report of the most vital things to get done that were past their life, or of essential need, like the entrance. You know, what could wait? Perhaps another year. But unfortunately, you know, the projections, we don't know how long the economy is going to be in a position like this. So nothing really ever seems to go down in price. That's what we keep hearing from all the experts. The prices will never come down. So the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost. That's kind of what we've been told from the experts. Sam?
Part of what CSG and their consultants did was go through the building and assess all the equipment. And the items you see on that first year out are the items that, when you read through that assessment, it was a very detailed assessment, they were indicated they were the ones that would be at the greatest risk of failure or some other problem. So that's why they're on that list. The cost that was used for those items was the cost that the estimator used at that time. The overall project that adds up to $58 million had escalation in it, knowing that there was a shelf life on those estimates. But that, we have no basis to be able to apply that escalation to this project. So some of those costs could be low, depending on the time of when the project actually goes forward. And then the last thing I would say is, if a project is approved in this next year and it takes 2 or 3 years to complete, that happens. We do have projects that go over 1 year, 2 years. So, yeah.
Can I just add something? Just, again, I just find it really helpful to look at things from a historical perspective, right? So I want to say probably 22 years ago was when we originally decided to try and get Linden Street School to move forward. And it was, that building was really rough. We had kids in the basement of that building. And I couldn't believe it when I went down there. My kids did not go to that school. They were across town at Tofflon. I went over there and I was shocked that the parents in that building would not be more upset because of where their kids were going for library and music and all that. And it just was not good. It really seemed like there was mold down there. It was uncomfortable. I didn't like, if I went down there for a meeting, and we started having our meetings down there, that's what was really interesting. And it always made me feel when I was done, like I couldn't, like I was coughing and tickling of the throat, and I'm like, there is something down here and I don't like it. And I don't want kids down here either. And I wasn't on the Board of Education at the time. So we went forward with that project, and it was an old building, and we realized that we hadn't done anything with any of our schools for many years. So several of them were in tough shape, including this building. And it was difficult to go with Linden Street School and bypass the high school, because the high school and the middle school have more support. Everybody ends up going there, everybody supports those buildings, everybody knows those buildings, they know them because they go in them more frequently. But we went with Linden, we called it Linden is the Key, and the plan, there was a long-range plan for Plainville schools, and at the very end of the rainbow of the plan was the middle school of Plainville, because at the time, this is 21 years ago, the middle school wasn't that old, right? So we went, we did this, plan, and everything kind of fell into place. However, not without bumps. There were times when plans were put forward, we went out to the voters, and the voters rejected the plan. There was a time when we had a plan that was approved, and then the price came in way, much higher than we anticipated for Tofflon, and we had to go back out. So, it's never a clean thing. It takes years, it takes a lot of planning, and every time, very purposefully saying, where are we going to invest our money? Let's not invest our money in that building where we're planning to move forward with a like-new renovation, because as taxpayers, we're going to get a better bang for our buck if we wait and do it as a like-new renovation, right? So we would definitely take care of it as much as possible, but we would also be really mindful of the fact that we knew where we were headed. And we always had that planning. At some point along the way, we started with the Capital Projects Building Committee, awesome group of volunteer tradesmen who just, like I said, they're volunteers, they live in town, they know a lot about construction, and these folks had really followed along with all the schools and had worked on all the schools, so it's a great group of people. So we're all moving forward in this position of thinking that we're bringing the middle school forward, and we weren't bringing the middle school forward to say we're going to renovate it. We were bringing it forward to say, will the town like to renovate it? And then it just gets stopped in its tracks. So it's a really tough, and I get that the economy is tough and inflation is tough, but you know what? We've been through tough times before. And in my mind, I think we need to figure out where we're headed now. And I was really hoping that next year we would try this again and put it forward again. But if that's not what we're doing, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But Historically, that's where we went, that's where we've been. We made these plans, we moved forward, everything was a process. And it wasn't neglecting things, it was being very purposeful and mindful of how we were moving forward with our expenses. So, I don't know if that helps, but.
All right, we're going to move forward. Isabella and Val, sorry for making you wait so long.
Sorry, guys. Learning a lot tonight.
At least we're here. Now we know about the budget.
Only the capital.
All right. As we head into December and the new year, students and staff at PHS are looking to the holiday festivities. One is the holiday extravaganza, as you mentioned. Majority of the excitement is about that. It is also about the Career Learning Adventure Day this Friday. Students are excited to explore a career of their choice via job shadowing tours, or we also have in the gym just like booths, I guess. Miss Bradley, Miss Peichel, and Miss DiLorenzo set that up. Current subject for the juniors and below is the PSATs, which came out last Tuesday. Midterms are also coming up in January, and then a lot of college applications are due this month, at the end of this month, so hopefully we start getting some success out of that. I actually got one for CCSU already, so that's good. We're just looking to have a safe, successful, COVID-free holiday season. Val?
Then we have the overview of events at PHS, and this past Friday, students dressed up in their favorite PJs and participated in a very successful PJ Day. They helped raise money, as you mentioned, for Connecticut Children's Hospital. The Future Business Leaders of America Club at PHS helped raise $128 for the Plainville Food Pantry for the upcoming holiday season. PHS students had a lot of fun participating and organizing the Powder Puff football game on November 22nd.
Not true. I did break my arm during that game, so.
Apparently the game ended in a tie, but from my perspective as a cheerleader for the juniors won. Up to debate, but sure. Students also participated in class competitions the following day, November 23rd, which ended in seniors winning, sure, with juniors taking second place and sophomores tying for third with the freshmen. Math NHS hosted a bottle and can drive on Saturday, December 10th, running from 8 to 12. This was organized by the fundraising committee, Megan Gray, Spencer Michalak, Leah Rucci, and Bella Grasso, advised by Ms. Roy. The PHS student body would like to extend a big thank you to all faculty and staff that could help both of the events happen. We had a lot of fun and are approaching the holidays on a good note. Currently, the PHS students are preparing for the Learning Adventure Day, as mentioned previously. Students were given the opportunity to not only job shadow within our own district, but outside as well. I'll be job shadowing Miss Westfall at the middle school. The holiday extravaganza, as also previously mentioned, organized by the class of 2025, will be held on December 16th. Tickets are $5, and a lot of activities and entertainment has been planned. The PHS Choir is holding their annual holiday concert on Tuesday, December 20th at 7 p.m., whilst the PHS Band is holding their annual holiday concert on Wednesday, December 21st at 7 p.m. Looking ahead, there will also be a Plainville Community Schools community-wide movie night at PHS Auditorium, held on Thursday, December 22nd at 6. Student Council has successfully completed movie night already and are looking forward to more as the year goes on. PHS winter sports season has successfully kicked off, and the PHS students and faculty body are looking forward to a winter season full of sports, competitions, games, and meets. And we're heading into holiday break soon. And that'll be held on December 23rd through January 2nd, 2023. There will also be a faculty versus unified basketball game held on January 19th at 6 at the Wood Gym. And as previously mentioned, midterms are on the horizon, and students and faculty are busy preparing for exams, which are going to be taking place from January 23rd to 26th. That concludes the student perspective.
Thank you so much.
I'm surprised you're not doing career day at NASA, Val, or something like that?
No, we tried to look for some IT positions that we could try doing, but we weren't able to find any, so I'll be with Ms. Westfall, but we're going to be at an aerospace convention, so hopefully I'll get to network and that'll be interesting.
Perfect.
Nice.
I'm sorry about your arm. You okay now?
Yeah, I'm
You look
okay.
like you're...
I don't have full mobility yet, but it's getting there. So
All right.
PT it is.
Was it scoring a touchdown or anything like that?
No, it was tackling. And
Okay.
we're not supposed to tackle, so it wasn't tackling.
See that? See what happens? See what happens? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you both, and I'm sure you have to get home, and so
Yeah.
we understand.
That's okay. I learned a lot.
All right.
Take care, good night. I'll chug through it. Foster Facilities Finance Subcommittee report.
Yes, the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee did meet on December 7th. We went over a facilities update. Just quickly, the Facilities Department does have Kaylin Dalkey, who is a Plainville High School graduate, now working at the department. Also, the Facilities Department also informed us that the new chemical system has been installed at the PHS pool. Also, a 36 bike capacity bike rack is replacing the old bike rack that was in behind the high school. And the small courtyard and industry school is going to be getting a bit of an update. So that was part of our facilities update. We did, in great detail with the superintendent and others and Sam Adelstein, go over the capital improvement plan for 23-24, which the superintendent went over in great detail tonight. And we did come to a consensus of the committee that this should be moved forward and approved by the board at tonight's meeting. And also, we had a pretty good discussion also on the actual operating budget, and a significant portion of that budget we looked at essentially is about 4% of all contractual obligations, including a 12% increase in insurance, health insurance costs that also are have to be taken care of. We looked also at the actual calendar for the budget and went over that in some detail as well. And the other thing that we did do, we came to a consensus in the past that the Facilities Committee has all been in the custom of touring some of the school buildings, and we agreed to, since COVID is now passed, that we would reinstitute that. So the Facilities and Finance Committee will be also going out and making tours of our 5 facilities.
Thanks, Foster. If I could just add, there was one correction that had to be made on the final number that was voted on. There was a $50,000 reduction due to the repointing of the high school, part of the high school bricks that the town had used ARPA funds in order to take care of, so that should have been removed from that proposal. So that's why you notice tonight the number, instead of $4,223,000, I think it was, it's $4,173,000. So I just wanted to make that quick thing. And then the contractual increases are 4.6 to be exact right now. So thank you very much. Sorry, your turn.
Crystal, Policy Subcommittee report.
They did report on our meeting that we had last time, but just a reminder, in unfinished business, we'll be voting or doing a second reading on those 7 policies.
Great, thank you. Rebecca, do you have anything for the Curriculum Subcommittee report?
No report.
Okay, thank you. There's no report for the Outreach Subcommittee as well. PAC liaison for the high school, Foster.
The PAC did meet on the 16th of November. That was put off in the week before because we had a prior facilities and budget meeting. Sorry about that. The Treasury had a very successful fundraiser for the fall. Raised about $1,924, which does fund the PAC to give their 3 scholarships for the next year. Their closing Treasury balance as of the 16th of November was $3,903.37. They discussed also the possibility of having a haunted hallway as a fall fundraiser next year. And they're going and looking into revising to some extent some of their graduation signs. The super senior pins, which in past years have always had the class year on it, they're discussing the possibility of just taking no year on there and having the year that the super senior gets the award on the card given to them. They'll save a significant amount of money if they can do it that way. They're also planning some other special events for the graduation. They're going to continue the Adopt a Senior program for this year's 154 seniors. And their next meeting is set for January 11th, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Rebecca, do you have anything for Taflon? Taflon report, anything?
I do not. They did not meet in November.
Okay, great, thanks. And Cassandra, Linden Street School?
Yes, for Linden Street School, for this month of December, the PTO does a holiday gift shop, which does a great success. Basically, they have gifts for aunts, uncles, immediate family. The kids can shop, and it's $2 pre-wrapped gifts. And there's a wrapping party on the 13th of December, so anyone that wants to join to wrap gifts, if you love wrapping presents, by all means, from 4 to 8, go to Linden School. I'll be there too. The PTO will meet on the 14th at 6 p.m. and they're always looking for volunteers for the gift shop. It's fun to help the kids pick out their presents. And that's it for the Linden PTO. They've been doing a great job.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Crystal, Middle School?
Yep. The MSP PTC met on Tuesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. They've got a lot of great things going on. They had a successful paint night back in October. They had a successful Halloween dance. Very exciting. I heard it was very exciting to get back to those dances again. And I heard like they had tons of kids, more than they've had. Yep, so that was awesome. They had a fun fall bingo night just a few weeks ago. They had a great Texas Roadhouse fundraiser in November that did well. And I think that's kind of it. They have a lot going on as we move through the year. And they will be meeting briefly tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
Great, thank you so much. And Rachel, Wheeler School PTO?
Thank you. Wheeler has been having a lot of fun and doing a lot of good. Just like we've heard many throughout the night, the Wheeler School has been participating in Spirit Days every Friday of the month, led by Miss Miller and the Student Council. They're showing their school spirit by wearing crazy hats or PJs and raising money for great causes like House of Heroes and childhood cancer. So well done, Wheeler. November's Leader of the Pack winners were Kian, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Kian Miner and Jackson Condon. Congratulations. And I thought this was pretty exciting. Morning announcements might have sounded a little different in November. Students read the morning announcements in languages such as Polish, French, Spanish, Laos, German, and Italian. So that's very cool. Some exciting field trips going on this month. Fourth graders had their trip to the Connecticut Science Center on Thursday, December 1st. Also in the fourth grade, I thought this was really fun to share. They have a lunch book club, and they're currently reading Judy Blume's Super Fudge. So a classic from my day, nothing better than reading and eating a yummy lunch. Wheeler kindergartners visited the Hungerford Nature Center, and third graders also went to the New Britain Museum last week. The next PTO meeting is coming up on December 15th from 6 to 7 in the library, and January, if you're planning ahead, is Thursday the 19th. That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Becky, anything for Craig?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. And all set. We'll move on to unfinished business. policies A through G. As a reminder of the process, we will now take the aforementioned policies off the table for approval. Once approved, these policies will become the official policies of the district. We will now be asked to approve the policies as presented. If there are no objections, I will ask for a motion to remove items A through G from the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I need a motion, sorry. I need a motion to remove items A through G from the table.
Then I would so move, Madam Chairman, that we approve the policies A through G.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the aforementioned policies, item A through G?
Motion to approve the items A through G
Thank you.
as designated. I don't know. Can't get one.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We're going to move on to new business. Board open forum. Does anyone have anything they'd like to speak about?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's Cassandra. I just want to say that the music today was absolutely great, and I always love it when the kids come in and meet with us, and even the students from the student council and the ones that spoke, that was nice for them to come. And it's nice to see all the stuff that the school's doing in the activities. And I want to also say I really appreciate everybody's transparency with the budget and how we got here, and I know that it's a very tenuous and difficult time, but getting from point A to point B and moving forward to make sure the kids are taken care of. I look forward to working as a team and seeing what we can do for the middle school. So I just want to thank everybody. I know it's not easy, but I want to just say thank you.
Thank you.
I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday and safe.
I just want to make a quick comment about Mr. Garino's wolf. I just have to. Mr. Garino was a brand-new teacher when I was still at the junior. I was the last class in the old junior high. And he was a special education teacher, I believe. And he was like sunshine. I remember going down that part of the hallway just to see him. So the fact that he is then he became my stepdaughter's principal. So I was very excited to see him there. So to hear that he wants to continue on in Plainville excites me, and that he's leaving not just his legacy and morale, but continuing to pay it forward with the wolf. I'm just all in for. So thank you to Mr. Garino, and I'm excited that he's still here.
Yeah, it's great. Anyone else?
So a few weeks ago, some of us on the board had an opportunity to attend the CABE and CAPS convention, that Connecticut Association of Board of Education convention. I enjoy going each year, gathering as a bunch of board members from all around the state and just listening to what other people are going through, and we can help them, they can help us, and I thought that was a great opportunity. One thing that I'm not sure if it was mentioned, I keep seeing, I guess I think it's Friday, yeah, on Friday and also on Sunday, is there a theaters, the PHS Theater Unlimited is doing The Price of Firewood, is that correct?
Oh,
1 o'clock on Sunday
Yep.
in this room.
And Friday night, right?
Friday
Yep.
at 8, right?
So that's just something that I've seen, I thought I
Thank
would
you.
mention that.
I got the invitation today. Thank you for reminding me.
What is it, a theater for?
Yeah, so the Plainville High School has a theater group. The Theater Unlimited presents The Price of Firewood. It's directed by Mr. Ricardo, and we got some great actors. So yeah, come on out. I guess tickets are $5, and it's right here in this room.
Nice.
1 p.m. Sunday.
What are the times?
I can forward it to you.
8 o'clock on Friday and 1 o'clock on Sunday.
Okay, yeah.
And it's right here, in this room.
Blind box.
About 10 actors in there working really hard on that, and Mr. Ricardo is outstanding, so I know it'll be great. I'm hoping to make it to one of the shows. Thanks for the reminder.
Anyone else?
I guess I'll finish one more thing, sorry. I think it was, 2 weeks ago, the chamber choir also sang at the Hillstead Museum, which I thought was so great, too. They stood on the stairs, they have these new stairs there, and they stood on the stairs and they sang, and it was so fun to listen. People who were just going to they have a holiday boutique, which is great, too, over there, shopping and stuff. But there were lots of people that weren't from our district, and the comments that they made on how great our kids sounded, and just our kids were polite, too, and so it was very enjoyable to hear them out and about.
Right.
And they had their signs out there too, so everyone knew who we were. So they sounded great.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about? Okay, well, if there, let's see here, where am I? Oh, no special, quarterly special education cost report, no turf committee report. We're going to request approval of the capital budget plan for 2023-24. I need a motion to approve the submission of the Board of Education's 2024 to 2028 capital plan totaling $4,173,328 for fiscal year 2024, and to move it forward.
So moved.
Second the motion.
We're not even letting you finish, I'm sorry.
All in favor? Raise of hands.
Do you want to have discussion at all? Anybody wants to? You might want to have discussion before you vote.
Oh, it didn't, okay. Do we have any discussion?
I have to ask it one last time. I know that we were able to move the $50,000 off for something that we were able to use for our, use ARPA funds for. I don't know, you've answered my question a million times, but is there anything else on this list before moving it forward that we could use ESSER or American Rescue Plan funding for?
This is everything that we need for the capital plan, so it's not necessarily all going to need to come from the capital budget, so we would work in collaboration with the town. We do have some ESSER funds remaining. We can work on potential for some of those, maybe the smaller ticket items to be offset by ESSER funds. So it's something that as we move forward and work through, the next rounds of the capital plan, doing our best to work as a partner. We have a lot of that money earmarked for a number of other projects, but we do have some room to work as a team on that. So for some of the items, again, the big concern with paying for any major items is that you're reducing that from the renovate, like new possibilities in the future. So it's always that balance of finding the right things that you could support and pay for now, paying full amount versus, putting it off and trying to do the renovate. But that's a long answer to your short question. So, yes.
And then I guess my only question would be, there was ESSER funding, and then, a second, I just had it in my brain. Someone forgive me.
Were you asking about the HVAC grant?
Or the roof grant?
The roof. So
Grant.
I know it sounds like it's not a favorable way to proceed because it doesn't sound like we might get it. But are we going to apply, or have we applied for the roof grant?
It wasn't a roof grant. It was an HVAC grant.
Okay.
It was a.
For the roof?
Not that you could submit it. No, but there's no. Not that I'm aware of for the roof.
Not that I'm aware of.
There was a $150 million statewide competitive grant for the HVAC systems as part of the healthy schools, healthy air legislation. There are a number of districts that were already in the process of developing a plan for HVAC systems who are ready to go. So that grant wasn't very fairly rolled out. It was about a 5-week turnaround, and it's the same as It's the same process as applying for a Renovate Like New application. You have to get the architectural designs, you have to get the specs for it, and the cost estimations. You have to get approval from the council, approval from the board. You have to go for a referendum vote. You can do that before or after, but in short, there wasn't enough time, possibly. We spoke at the middle school meeting downstairs, and, I think we all came to that conclusion at that meeting, and Town Manager Paulus mentioned it, and others, that, it was really set up for districts that were ready to go and already had a plan in place to do an HVAC system. We weren't in that position. The list of items Steve Bussell was working on it for us, trying to get it ready in time. It would have been impossible for us to submit that. Yeah.
Is this something we're going to do moving forward? Or I hear
We don't know if there'll be. We don't know if there'll be additional grants. They haven't announced any further grants. So this is when the money's gone. It's done, and they may announce future grants, but they haven't made any decisions on that. So. We'll take advantage of any. We apply for the security grants every year. We've only got one. I think one out of the last. Well, we've gotten two. The last one was like what, $10,000. It was some small number, and we applied for hundreds of thousands. We did get the communications Mutual Link that paid for most of the Mutual Link system. So the interoperability communication system for security I mentioned earlier, but. Before then, we've applied 4 times, and we got 0. The first time we applied was before my time, but we got, I think, $300,000 or $400,000 initially, and then they kind of put us to the back of the line. So, they put the grants up, but they're competitive, and if you've already gotten one, your chance of getting it again in the near future is pretty small. So grants are tough to rely on, that kind of grant.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything? Any other comments?
So,
More discussion?
any more discussion?
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Oh, sorry. Hello? Sorry. I just had another quick question. Foster, when we were at our meeting, you had mentioned the water issue for MSP. I think it was in the basement or band room. Is that repair like part of what's on the 2024 list? Is that included in?
I'm not quite sure of your question.
If I can help with that, Foster, I'm happy to. The water rises up through the tiles in the band room periodically due to the water table and the elevation of the band and chorus room toward the front of the middle school due to that retention pond, and the water level comes up and it seeps out through the tiles, and there's an odor in there. So it's something that has been raised as a concern and as a need, but that would be more typically part of a full Renovate Like New project. I don't believe that's it's not part of the capital plan. We don't have it. There was already so much in there. It wasn't listed as, it's not a mechanical system that's due to fail. It's something that we've been tolerating and putting up with for a long time. So it's one of those things that if you do a Renovate Like New, you would definitely do that because it's not good, but it would be costly. It would be redoing the floor, redoing the draining in front of the building, around the building. There's a lot involved in that, and engineering, mechanicals. So I guess that's the long answer. Does that make sense?
I think there's a workaround too because they used to actually block off the drain that's right on close to the school, and then let that pond fill up with water, and then it would freeze and kids could skate on it. For about the last 3 years or more, they have not done that, and so there's a lot less water being retained in that, and I think that that has alleviated, not totally eliminated the problem, but a total renovation of that whole area would and a Renovate Like New program would fix that thing permanently.
Right. Thanks, Foster.
I know it was a concern brought up by you that seemed, I just wanted to make sure that if it needed to be part of this, that I wanted just to make sure. Anyways, that was not a complete sentence, and I realized that, but I think the other board members caught my drift. All right, thanks.
I'm going to need to do a 5-minute recess, please.
Yeah, right there.
That was, you said it's 3 years ago? Skating. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It might have been 4 years, because you think it during COVID.
It's interesting.
I don't
So
think
that
so.
puts us to probably.
My goodness, almost 4, maybe.
It's like the before times. It was in the before times.
It was.
Before PC, before COVID.
One of those days.
Close us out. Take us home, Lord.
I'm trying.
Play us out.
Take it to the bridge.
Yeah.
The bridge over troubled water.
Stay alive.
I think we have a motion we got to vote on.
We had a motion to vote on.
Okay, so I had a motion from Becky, I had a second from Foster. All in favor? Raise of hand.
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
At home, we have
7.
Rebecca.
Deb, are you in favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, motion carries. Moving to the consent agenda, is there any need for discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the consent agenda as enclosed in our packet.
Okay, and can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion carries.
Don't need a second? We got a second anyways.
Off the record is our